Welcome back, everybody, to the Two versus Brother podcast, also the Fantasy Football Gurus podcast. I have here today a man that went the distance, but obviously couldn't make it to the final dance. Alfredo, how are you feeling today?
Good man. Just got back from Cancun. Got COVID. Other than that, I'm back. You know, just still progressing and checking, how things went throughout the year.
Mhm. And tell me, how does it feel to be out now that you're officially out? You went to visit Cancun, but it's more or less like you're coming right back.
Well, Cancun is good. I mean, when I got there, like the service is very good. I know it's a great hotel there in Cancun that the Gurus League use. It was funny because when I got there, you were already there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you were there, Los Coquis, and then, even Mr. Deeds was already there. Deeds was pretending to take care of some plumbing issues that was having in one of the rooms. Los Coquis, crying about one of his other leagues, when I got there. So, there was some form of chaos. But man, Pedro, think about it. The Isn't it a great service that they gave us there in Cancun? Now I know Franklin and Steven will be joining Cancun, but the service is a great service. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure. It's a lot of five-star service that we had going on over here in Cancun, especially after all the hell we had to go through to get here. Of course, I was the one that got here before anybody else, but at the end of the day, I've been enjoying myself watching everything that's been going on, watching the games without any like no interest in anything other than the Dolphins. But
that's
uh,
interesting. I felt the same thing. This was like the first weekend that I was able to see the games without anything to worry about fantasy football.
mhm.
You know, my focus was just the game, cheering for the Dolphins. I didn't hardly go to my phone, just enjoy the game while drinking the margarita. I mean, I think I saw you in one of the bars there, drinking a margarita. Life is good. Life is good. And, unfortunately, when you go through these um, weeks, let me tell you, fantasy football takes you weeks away from important things, from your family. It takes you out from concentration from work.
Mhm.
So now that you know that it's all over, you have your life back.
Yeah.
And I think, and then the after elimination that you go to Cancun, you feel like you're young. It's like you baptize
Yeah,
again.
yeah. No, all ready for next year. You're a new man now, growing out the beard. A little bit scruffy, but it's growing in. And now it's all about watching what goes on in the finals. Because today is the 25th. Today is Christmas Day, and
Yep.
we are looking on what's going on in the finals, in the semifinals, and to see who is going to make it. But even though it already looks like it's decided, it's looking like it's going to be Checkers and KMA, two heavyweights going at it. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't have love for any of those. For Danny and K May. Obviously, I haven't been paying attention too much in the chat. That's another thing. Once you're also eliminated, yeah, you don't even care about the chat. You're out. I read every once in a while, but it no longer need to be active. But yeah, I mean, just thinking about the finals matchup, I think Danny is a juggernaut. Um, Obviously, the thing that gets forgotten in all of this is, yes, he did kind of in a way colluded to screw Franklin, out of the
Mhm.
bye week. But nobody has mentioned this, and I know Danny's gonna love it. What I'm gonna say, and this does not mean that we're best friends. We'll never be best friends in fantasy football. So he got screwed. But let's say Steven screwed him,
Mhm.
and he had to prove himself by going 3 straight weeks instead of two to win it all. And he did it. He still did it. He ended up, instead of number two, the fourth seed, he had to play a first round matchup. Then he played the semifinals, and now he's in the finals. So obviously, we have to give Danny credit. I'll follow that.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
you know,
Danny deserves his flowers.
he deserves the flowers. Unfortunately, hurts me to say it, but he has, in a way, uh, took the long road and the hard road
Hmm.
to win it. So kind of like those that said that he cheated with the trade, I think by getting screwed by Steven and taking the longer road, that screw job that he did in the trades, things compensates with what happened to him here. So I don't think Danny. I mean, I give him credit for it. As for
Yeah.
KMA, you know, there's no love either for him, fantasy football. For KMA, this man has eliminated me the last 2 years, and this was the guy that I wanted to face because I felt that there was some form of weakness in his team. Everybody, like the majority of people, predicted that there was going to be an upset, and unfortunately, he still came through. I think if he does win the title, he definitely needs to thank Terry McLaurin because I didn't know what was going on. I was
Hmm.
basically, on my way to Cancun, and I was on my way to win it. Like Pedro, like what were you able to see what was going on in the matchup with me and K May?
Yeah, there was some times there that it looked even more or less, but then towards the end, that was it. As it was going on, I was looking, but it looked to me more that once KMA started his team started to blow up a little bit. I have it in front of me. Um, like of course everything turned out exactly how he needed it to turn out. Josh Allen didn't do very well. The Allen brothers did not do what they were supposed to. Of course, one Allen was out, which would have helped you. Josh Allen didn't do as much as he usually does. 94 passing yards, one rushing touchdown, and a passing touchdown. Those aren't Josh Allen usual numbers. So if it wasn't for Terry McLaurin, you would have won that game.
Yeah, and that's the thing because I knew what do you need to do to beat K May. One thing, number one, eliminate one of the Allen brothers. Keenan Allen was already out, so all I needed to do was limit Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills and the Cowboys game was the perfect game plan for me because they didn't even hardly threw the ball. They just ran the ball. Then the next person, CeeDee Lamb. Buffalo, it was the perfect game plan because Buffalo then started running the ball, taking away the clock, what would potentially didn't give any opportunity to CeeDee Lamb. So it was going ideally for me. Then I was saying, okay, if Cooper Cup can outscore because he had two Washington Commanders players, and it was
Mm-hmm.
the same matchup with Cooper Cup. If Cooper Cup outscores Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, I have a good shot. Look at the matchups. My quarterback, Browning, outscored Allen.
Yep.
Okay? DK Metcalf and CeeDee Lamb, they weren't that far off. Cooper Cup and McLaurin and Gibson, that was the key for him because nobody expected McLaurin. Actually, he was struggling going into the fourth quarter. He wasn't doing anything. After Cooper's Cup scored that 60-yard touchdown, my projections was at 81%
Yeah.
to win it all. And then suddenly, Howell goes out. Jabroni Brisket comes
Mm-hmm.
in. And then the guy just started throwing bombs after bombs. And then let me tell you, there was a play there that he threw it deep, and McLaurin looks like that he was about to score. and he was
Yeah,
short by 1 yard. So it could have been much worse. So then, yeah, there was a stretch there in that final fourth quarter of that game, and then CeeDee Lamb had a garbage touchdown that gave KMA the win, because then I needed Ingram, and I needed DK between those two to give me 21 points, and then we fell short. But yeah, he definitely, if KMA wins, I think he needs to thank and send flowers to Tarek McLaurin.
correct. Yeah, he pretty much saved them there because it's not the usual performance from KMA to score 108 points. And he scores, like I've told you before, he averages 130 points the last few weeks. So it's very odd that he plays you and he scores only 108 points.
Yeah,
Again, the
look at
pigeons.
look at Kittles. I'm looking at it. I'm still look Kittles. My tight end scored as much as Kittles, 4 and 6 points. My
Mhm.
flex A chain outscored Gibson. My kicker outscored his kicker. After last week, his kicker gave him like 20 points, in which I told him it wasn't going to happen again. And indeed, that's what happened. And then our defense was flat.
Yeah, you
So, yeah,
guys were
Javante, yeah.
you only lost by 7 points, Alfredo. Less than 7 points. You don't. That's an accept. Like really, it's a loss, yes, but like at the end of the day, you guys he was projected to win by a lot more. His projection in from what I see here is 115th to your 100. So it was closer than it was supposed to be. But you said that. You said it was going to be a lot closer.
I had him, bro. I had him. But,
It's
well,
all right,
it
man.
happens.
That kind of stuff happens. At least you got to the playoffs, my man. You went and you made a little bit of noise, and then you got out. It's at the end of the day, you got there after all the adversity of getting to the final few games in the playoffs, and you made it. Unfortunately, you were the only one that was bounced that same week. It was also the Shark Alex was also removed from the playoffs. His matchup was a little bit. Let me see. His
No,
matchup was
it's more
yours.
lopsided.
Yeah, his was a lot more lopsided. He got this Danny Checkers hung 151 points on him. It's not the usual. I think in this league, has only been maybe five in total of more than 150 points.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the usual that happens, but ARP got taken to school on that. But hey, that happens. And then you have Team D Plus now. From what it looks like, Team D Plus is done. Only scored 90 points or 83 points. We're still waiting to see what will happen in this game, but it doesn't look like he's going to win because Danny also has players to play.
Yep.
The only one that looked anything close to it was going to be even was that Franklin versus Checkers match because Steven was holding on for dear life. It,
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was never going to be close.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
man.
now we have the finals matchup. Danny and KMA. And there's a great story. I mean, we'll talk more about it during the week.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a heavyweight matchup, and we can basically say Checkers has a chance of maybe having the best team ever in the league. Let's see if that happens. I mean, but KMA could write some history. He could be the first time ever, the first two-time champion, and
Correct.
then also
Back to
back
back.
to back champion. So I think there was a lot of talk about GOAT status. And if KMA wins, I think there shouldn't be no question that KMA should be the GOAT. I know
No asterisk.
Franklin hates it,
Mhm.
but um, it is what it is.
Yeah, no asterisks on this victory. Unfortunately, yes, there were some shenanigans that went on with uh, benching players and stuff like that. But this is the way that the cookie crumbles. This is where we're at. There's no
Yep.
going back on any of that. Now, from what I see, Danny has never won a championship, has he?
No, this will be his first title.
So if he goes and he wins, this will be his first title. And if he loses and KMA wins, KMA automatically gets into the conversation of GOAT, because you can't go into this in this league that's very competitive and start and go two times back to back and win and not be considered a GOAT. It's impossible.
Yeah, yeah. There could be some form of controversies in each of his titles because last year was of controversy. I think if it wasn't for Deeds, and it's funny because Franklin, um, like he was mentioning, he was blaming Deeds for giving Danny all these players and giving him the title. But think about it, Deeds has single handedly by his screw up and his niceness, if you can say, has given the title to KMA last year because when there was that debate about what to do, he could have said, "No, I'm keeping it. Now, the game is over. I won." He
Mm-hmm.
decided to redo it again with Burrow and Allen, and then KMA won the title because of that. So there was a lot of controversy, and because of Deeds, he allowed that to happen. And then this year with the trade with Jetta and then St. Brown and everything,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he allowed that too. So Deeds, I think both of these guys should thank Mr. Deeds, like
Yeah.
his name states, good deeds,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to give him this title.
Yeah, he has to. He has to. You know how they say, "Oh, what are you gonna do when you get when once you're done with the championship? What are you gonna do? You already won." They say, "Oh, we're going to Disney World." They had to bring these Deeds and his whole family to Disney World now.
Oh yeah, they have to take Deeds with them. Yep. Yeah.
For real, because they can't. I wouldn't have. I would have said no if it was me. I'm like, no, bro, I
Oh
won
man,
this.
hell no. I would have kept it. I would have said nope. I won.
Mhm. Now,
So
and at this point, it looks like we only have one person of the core people in the league that has never won a championship. And that's you, Alfredo. How do you feel about that?
well, I mean, I don't know, man. It's
Because
just
between you and Danny, Danny's going to a finals. You've been to a finals before versus me.
yep. Yeah,
And
man.
Danny's going to a finals now. I don't know if he's ever been, but
This is his first finals.
his first finals. And
Yeah.
if he wins, you're going to be all alone in that conversation. You're going to be kind of like the Peyton Manning of fantasy football. In the regular season, you're a juggernaut. Then you get to the postseason and you fold.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I have to. There's not much I can do now. Just hope next year be my year.
Mhm.
I know it's a very common phrase. Next year will be my year. The pressure will keep on growing because eventually, if Danny wins, then I'm basically the last person to not win the title of the
You're right.
core.
You're right.
So
Now,
yeah, it'll be pressure. It's just pressure.
I do have a question for you. Now that they're having all these rule changes that are going to be implemented for next year, the no benching situation, no collusion, and now with the announcement by Franklin that the trade commission is set. Do
Oh, what
you
was
did
it?
you see it?
No, no.
So in the chat, Franklin, I brought up to Franklin because we were discussing the trade with Ross St. Brown and the Jettas, the one that put Danny over the top,
Yeah.
and I told him who's going to be in this trade commission because I asked him like, what? So you were talking about it, but no one was ever brought up, and it looks to me it was going to be, if I remember correctly, it was going to be Alex, the Shark,
Mhm.
Steven, and I don't remember the third person, but the third man is escapes me at the moment. But what do you think about that? Steven and Alex, so far of the people that I see.
Well, I think my opinion. I think the committee. I don't think Steven should be in the committee.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he knows about fantasy football, but I don't know how partial he's going to be to his benefit. Um, how he's going to remember now. Trade committee is an important vote, and he's capable of using his emotion in the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think how the committee should be is that whenever the trade happens, then at that moment you select three people that has nothing to do with the trade, has nothing to do with the individual, and evaluate that trade. And then when another trade happens, then you select three other people, or just as long as that has nothing to do with it.
Okay. All
Because think
right.
about it, if next year there's going to be a trade involving Danny, and
Mm-hmm.
Steven is part of that committee, do you really think that Steven's going to be partial with that?
Nope.
Yeah. So then um, I think Franklin needs to really look into that part of the committee, and maybe have it instead per trade.
Yeah, I think something similar. Um, of course, I believe there also has to be some kind of committee because it can't be that all these trades passed because in the past everybody went off of this is between these two people. They're not committing collusion by doing these trades. This is what they believe is best for their team, which is it's basically by the trust. Trust that everybody's doing what they can to do to go on to the next week or to better their team, basically. So my thing is, yes, I do believe a committee should be in place, but I don't. Me, Steven, I don't think Steven should be in the committee. Not because he's not knowledgeable, but because we don't know what he's a wild card at this point. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in my opinion, is more like the Joker in Gotham City,
yeah, yeah,
committing chaos wherever he can. So, and he doesn't have any team. His team is himself.
yeah. That's
So,
the thing.
yeah, how can you bring somebody onto a committee that's going to be there to say, "Oh, we're gonna, he's going to be a part of the decision"? And what happened? Obviously, there's only three people, so there cannot be a lockout. So if
Yeah,
one person says yes and two people says no, does it have to does it have to be a majority?
yeah,
Does everybody have to agree? These things have to be said before. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, no, it's very interesting. We'll see how it goes, man. We'll see. I mean, that's we'll definitely would love to discuss that in the off season. I mean, we'll have enough time for that. I'm definitely looking forward to what happens this week. I mean, this week is going to be a record breaking weekend of whoever wins it. Um, but yeah, man. Eh, I don't know what to say. Let's see what happens. Let's see how much Danny will be able to win it if he does, and see if KMA can actually over exceed that.
yeah. It looks like the stars are aligning so that Danny could take this. But like you said before, if Danny does not take this, it's almost like he the biggest like choke job in all of fantasy football.
Yeah, yeah. That statement is still out there. So we'll see, man. We'll see how that goes, bro.
Alrighty. Any
You're
last?
glad to be back from Cancun as well, right?
Oh man, me, I'm happy to be back in the states after having my time over there. Of course, it's not easy not being in the finals. It's been a few years since I made my appearance at the finals, even though I thought this may be my year. But yeah,
You had a great performance this week.
this performance that I put on is all. everybody decided to blow up for me not to be in last place.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, at least it's better than not being in last place because those things do follow you. In this year, I did took serious these other playoff matchups because I still want to remain my platinum status. So for me, those things are important. So if I took on,
Multi-billion-dollar company.
yeah, I'm still platinum status. So I need to, the higher I end up, the more possible that I still remain at platinum. So
Okay. Well,
uh,
any last words? Anything else you want to say before we end this podcast?
no, man, this is the beginning of the new era for our league. I'll tell you this, and also for our YouTube channel, for our podcast. As the season does come to an end with the fantasy football gurus, um, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. We will be talking about a lot of stuff. We'll shift our gears to talk about professional sports. We'll get to talk about things that the audience loves to hear. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and hopefully we can continue growing. Thank you, Pedro.
We'll conclude this episode for today. This was Pedro interviewing Alfredo for his conclusion to the year.
All right, man.
All righty, man.
Bye.